Today's panel is about the importance of restaurants and entertainment uses in the downtowns, and how it's really the central fabric and attraction of the downtowns. You know, I did a series once called Destination Long Island, and it was about how certain businesses are destination businesses, and they draw people into the communities that they're in. And restaurants certainly are that. And we have a very, very good representation of business owners here that have great establishments. Some of them have been here a very long time. Some of them are a little newer. But they're all going to tell you about what they do and why their restaurants are so important to the downtowns that they serve. So just a quick couple of notes that Joe emailed me. Let's see. Need the glasses? Okay. 48% of the dollars that are spent on food, the food industry, nationwide is spent at restaurants. So that's including the groceries, everything food related. Restaurants account for half that. They represent 4% of the national GDP. That's in 2017. $1 of restaurant sales generates $2 for other industries in the area. Nearly 15 million employees work in restaurant industry. So it's a pretty big deal. We all have our favorite spots. We know that we visit downtowns when we go to certain restaurants, and it's really, really important. So what I'm going to do is, instead of introducing everybody, because I don't have notes on that, I'm going to just go one at a time. Everybody's going to introduce themselves and just give a brief overview of your place and what you do. I'm going to start with John, who is with Kilwins, and I'm sure you've eaten their fudge, and if you haven't, you need to.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, John Murray. I own and operate the Kilwins Chocolates in Babylon Village, the one in Patchogue Village, and now to torture my wife, the Hero Joint in Patchogue Village as well. So I'm involved in two villages, two excellent villages, and I've been involved in downtown business since April of 2012. Anyway, I can help, feel free to ask.
Evan Chen, I'm owner of Tova Asian Fusion and Moga Asian Bistros. We have multiple locations in downtown New Orleans.
My name is Joseph Bruzzo. I'm one of the owners and mead makers at WA Meadworks. We make mead, which maybe those people aren't familiar with it. We make wine using the fermentable sugars and honey as opposed to grapes.
Don Chavetta, Campaign House in the small town of Bethpage. Kind of took over an old bar and made a new restaurant, an outdoor dining facility in Bethpage.
Arslan Porman, I'm the owner, roastmaster at Flux Coffee. It's a cafe roastery in Farmingdale.
George Hogue, Brickhouse Brewery. We've been in Patchogue for 22 years, and we stuck with them.
Very good. And I'm going to start with George because, you know, if you notice, some of the downtowns that these establishments are in are some of the most vibrant downtowns in the last few years. They mentioned Farmingdale, of course, Patchogue, and I know that Evan is now in Sayville, which is also a really nice downtown. Of course, Huntington, which has been great for a long time. And John's also in a couple of those spots help me out, Babylon and Patchogue. So I'm going to just start with George. George has been there from the beginning, and this is before the Feet on the Street came. And he's lived through, and his establishment has gone through some of the downtimes in Patchogue, and now some of the good times in Patchogue. And just discuss briefly how things have changed there, and you know, how you feel that's benefited the town, the community, and your business itself, because that's what it's about.
Well, we really did, whatever you think about the Renaissance of Patchogue and about what's going on there now, we were to blame for it. Whatever. We we started really. 1994, there were 2 restaurants on Main Street. There was a luncheonette and a Greek restaurant. No pedestrians on the street. My partner, I was in the broadcasting business, I was on a radio station there. My partner was an attorney. We were both Kiwanians who went to International Kiwanis Convention in New Orleans, went to the Crescent City Brew House and said we need a place like this in Patchogue. So we came back and built it. That's pretty much what happened. It was the oldest commercial building in Patchogue, built in 1815, old Shands hardware store or dry goods store. It's been closed for a couple of years. A lot of vacancies in Patchogue. And we were both active in our community. I was on the chairman of the board of directors, active in our community. But I don't think we really did it because we wanted to do something good. But the stars aligned with it. And we have. Over the years, things have changed a lot. You know what it is now. But there were 2 restaurants then. We opened in 1996. Now there are 20 restaurants right on Main Street. So it's pretty much a restaurant community, for good or bad. Yeah, we started.
Just one thing about turnover, when we talk about Huntington.
You have more competition.
We do.
But you have more
They
customers.
turn over their parking each day.
Patchogue is, beyond the restaurant development, Patchogue has done a lot of residential development as well, and that's a key to a lot of new apartments, condominiums, a lot of young people, young affluent people, fairly affluent.
I'm an employee.
A lot of development.
Cost prohibitive.
The key to it is the big key to it is government. It's an incorporated village, which is significant. Where the village is able to do its own thing. It's a lot of red tape. I think development tends to move smoothly. A very good government in Patchogue, and also sewers. Sewers are the key to the restaurant development and as well as residential development.
Without counting your money, are you doing better now? Or were you doing better when there was no competition and nobody there?
We have done better in the past. That was,
So the competition's been...
2008 was a break. Since then, things have been slower. But I mean, when we opened, there was nothing else, so obviously there was a lot of pent-up demand.
So do you attribute that to more competition?
We opened with 73 employees, we now have 40.
Can I just ask, because I live in Patchogue, do you know restaurants and bars are now open after?
Maybe John says, I think it's like 30 or altogether 30 or something.
Yes. There's a lot of
And they just keep coming. There's a couple of 300, 400 in the works right now.
I will say one thing.
Yay, Patchogue!
Pride in your room. Anyway, yeah, so this is a food and drink panel. We're talking about bars and restaurants, but there really hasn't been a retail resurgence in Patchogue. So, bars and restaurants are great. We all love them. They create a lot of jobs, bring people in, but to become a destination, all right, you have your cheeseburger, you drink a beer, and you leave. The retail is really growing in Patchogue. We've had so many new retailers open. I think this kind of gets lost in the shuffle. We started a retail committee. We're doing a lot of initiatives to attract independent specialty retailers. So, you can come to Patchogue and buy interesting things. They're not, obviously an IPA and a burger is very interesting, but, there's other things we're offering now besides just food and drink. So I just want to do a commercial about that because, we think about Patchogue. Newsday did a story, top Uber destinations on Long Island, a bunch of train stations in the tap room in Patchogue. So there's a lot more than just food and drink.
Okay, you didn't have to mention Newsday, but that's okay. So what I'm hearing from George is there could be an oversaturation. So that's, if you have too many restaurants in a small area, maybe that doesn't allow for enough business for everyone. And, the town's only so big, and I'm sure there's a parking problem now in Patchogue, which the real parking problem is if there was nobody that wanted to park. That's the actual parking problem. So having a parking problem is usually a good thing for a downtown. Huntington's going through that now with the growing pains in the garage and everything. I'm gonna go back to Evan real quick. Evan, how do you decide where to pick a spot for a new restaurant? I know you've been in Huntington for a while, very successful there, and then you decided to open, I believe, in Sayville, Farmingdale first, but then Sayville. So how do you decide? How do you decide where to locate?
We always think about the populations and also incomes. Like few years ago, when I do the research for Farmingdale, there's a lot of empty spots. On the main street, that's empty, a lot of spaces. And we're not deciding to go in there until like Village of Farmingdale spoke to us. They're going to do a lot of things. They're going to build a lot of new apartments in that area. And we decided like the village is really active, such that they're doing like holiday parade, street fairs, and music festival in summer. So we think about that area is definitely going to be good for us, for our space.
And what about you other guys? I'll start with Joe. How did you decide where to locate?
Originally, about 6-7 months ago, we started looking at spaces. We looked at a bunch of different areas, and when we walked into Lindenhurst, there were a lot of empty buildings, and we met with some of the trustees and the village officials, and just the way they spoke about the village and what they're doing. They got grants for different studies. There's a couple new restaurants opening up. There's a bunch of two more leases are signed for restaurants. So it's a really big growing area right now. And we want to be part of that revitalization of that area.
And you're going to have, like George and John had, you're going to have Tritech soon building, I believe, 260 units right by the train station.
Yeah, it's probably about a quarter mile from us. Like everything is walking distance now. They're next to one of the new restaurants. They've already been speaking to us about what they're doing. And just being the only person on Long Island doing what we're doing, we felt like Lindenhurst was a good fit for us. And we want to be part of that revitalization of the area.
So also, pass it to Don, we'll go to Don. Don, again, same question. How did you decide where to locate and what was the passion?
We decided to locate in Bethpage. I'm a resident of Bethpage my entire life, and I just saw a great place, great bones, and I took a chance on that Bethpage could handle a second restaurant near BK Sweeney's right down the block, which is mostly a sports bar.
And this is right on Broadway?
This is right on Broadway. This would be a place called Luther. What we decided was we wanted to reopen up the outdoor seating to bring people back into town, people to stay in town for a little while. But we have different challenges. We are not an incorporated village. And to make a town kind of recognize who we are is becoming the biggest challenge we have. We want that zoning change. We want that extra smart development, but we don't have a way to get it. So what we're trying to do is go through our city communities, our chamber of commerce, and create one voice and get a consensus, and then try to go to our town, which is a large town of West Bay, and say they need to look at us a little different. We have different needs. We have different parking situations. We're mostly community parking.
How close are you to the train station?
I'm in the back of the train station.
So that particular downtown could use a nice couple of smart growth projects, maybe a couple of
That's what we definitely need. And we need the zoning to change so that it makes it financially feasible for these people to come in and do a project. A 2-story project in Bethpage isn't going to make any money.
Have you spoken to Jim and Catherine in town?
Jim and Catherine.
I didn't know.
Town Voice Quebec.
Town Voice Quebec. But so anyway, we're working that. That's our plight, to get more people to come down and get critical mass. That we don't want to be as big as Patchogue or even as big as Farmingdale, but just have some smart development and get a consensus in the town to proceed.
One of the biggest things that I was looking at in opening the roastery was that it's not going to be in a strip mall, which is 95% of Long Island.
And where is it again?
Farmingdale. So I was looking at the different villages and seeing which one is
Cartoon character, they called PlayStation P.
most suited to the kind of coffee shop that we have. It's a very different coffee shop than all the other ones on Long Island. We roast our coffee differently, serve it differently, make it differently.
One on the
So
right
it's
is Fort Jeff.
which one can
It's
we
packed with
get in
information
with,
about
educate people in that village and really grow the community.
And here's some of the things you try to get done.
How long have you been open now?
Last February we
You
opened.
see, pay my app is here.
And we're still open. Still open, yeah.
Are you familiar with Dave Sabatino in Valley Stream? Okay, he's got a nice little coffee shop there, and he's doing real well. Yeah, maybe, might be. I don't know the name. Okay. So one of the themes here, which you could probably see, is the downtowns that they choose to go in are downtowns that are a little more vibrant, maybe have some rental housing, so there's people actually in the downtown. You know, Long Island, as everybody knows, and I'm not going to go over the old story, was, you know, developed in a big sprawl and with single-family houses everywhere. And the downtowns were largely overlooked for a very, very, very long time. And, you know, they just had some neighborhood retail and stuff there. But now they're becoming actually mini new urban centers, especially the ones near train stations, because you have the transit-oriented development and stuff like that. So it's key to success of restaurants. And conversely, restaurants are so important in attracting people to come to the downtowns, because why do you go to a downtown? And so many of them, Rockville Center, there's so many downtowns, Huntington, there's so many downtowns on Long Island that have great restaurants, and they're all doing pretty well. So, okay, so let's move to the next thing, obstacles. So, there's a lot of obstacles in opening a business on Long Island, doing anything on Long Island that's new. You have the health department. If you're in Suffolk County, you know, God bless you, with the Suffolk County Health Department, sometimes, you know, that's where applications go to die, as everybody knows. And unless you have the buy-in from the local government, it's probably very, very difficult. So I'm just going to throw this out to the whole panel, see who raised their hand. What are the big obstacles in getting your place opened? Was it the fire marshals? Was it the, you know, there's a lot of different bureaucracies. What was the big challenge? Who wants to handle that? John? I was going to throw it, you know.
We don't want to get it damaged, Bill. So this was a surprise on my last project, the Hero place we built in Patchogue. You know, the typical things that health department, fire, municipalities, but PSEG. I applied for a gas meter. National Grid came 2 days later, and I lost 5 weeks waiting for my electric meter from PSEG. 5 weeks. They said to me, "We're busy right now, we'll let you know." So I lost a good portion of the summer, which in the sandwich business would have been good. 5 weeks. So you learn something new every day, but if you need an electric meter, apply for it at least 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was trying to say the same. You know, when we opened like Huntington's locations, it's from retail to restaurants. So how the thing we found out is not about the towns, it's about National Grid and PSEG. It's taking almost like 3-4 months to even get an answer from them.
If a person wanted to go and...
I can't speak to these horror stories. We have been nothing but lucky. I tell people what we went through to get our business open. We signed our lease March 1st. We opened September 8th.
So what that
the Village of Lindenhurst has been nothing but incredible. And it was so easy to open our business. I get a call every week from our trustees and everyone, all the village employees, like checking in on us. So I had nothing bad to say. And opening WM Meadworks was really easy.
Don't give them the mic anymore.
With us, again, it was easier because we're an existing use in our town. Like we heard some fellow upstairs in Smithtown saying, if you're a restaurant already, you can be a restaurant, but if you're not, you can't be. And in town of Oyster Bay, it's very similar, and it's more because of parking than the sewers. So, again, I feel bad for people who I see, because we want people to come into our town with restaurants, and they're not getting approved, and the reason is parking, and that's our biggest problem.
Just real quick, what's the parking
I
requirement?
just wanted to bring that up. With that,
I don't know what it is per seat. I don't know what it is per seat. I just know that the reason why we had a bonchon that was trying to come in across the street from us, and there was just not enough parking.
I our biggest hurdle was the village of Farmingdale. Every time, I mean, I was going in there every day, and I also keep in mind, I'm an architect, so I've dealt with villages, and buildings and plans, and I know how it works. I also was a copy before that, but the village, they would give us various paperwork, so we fill it out, and I say, okay, great. Now we need you to fill this out, that's going to take us 3 weeks of process. Like, no, why don't you give this to us before? And the village architect's answer was, it's not my job to tell you what you need when you need it. It's my job to give you what I want whenever I want.
You know, it's surprising to me, because I know Brian Hardy is very, usually on top of things.
It wasn't Brian Hardy.
Okay, usually he's on top of things in the building. Probably should went to him, but.
Yeah, I was with the village architect, and he just, every step of the way, whenever we finished the steps, he's like, oh, you should have done this 2 steps ago. Oh, why didn't you give this to us 2 steps ago?
And so that delayed you a while?
Yeah, he delayed us about 2 months, because he was young. And I actually, it was going to be...
What's his name?
I told him that I was going to talk to my contacts at another newspaper that is New York about everything I'm going through, and literally once I said that, I don't know anyone down there. And once I said that, then pretty much everything changed.
Okay. And he's the village architect?
Yeah.
I didn't know the village has had a...
Yeah, they have part-time architects, so for villages, usually part-time architects.
George, one of the reasons I do these panels is to get story ideas, so I already have 2.
Well, 22 years ago, things were very smooth. The village very much wanted us to open, and just went out to make it happen. We really had no problems at all. It went very smoothly, very quickly. These days, I know there are sometimes hang-ups with the health department. That sometimes takes a while. Liquor licenses sometimes can take a while.
All the success that's going on in Farmingdale.
Oh, the one thing with the village, you got to follow the rules. I mean, there are people that come in and just start rebuilding without permits, and maybe stop things like that. So you got to follow the rules. But other than that, that's we've had a good experience.
Thank you very much. I'm going to sit it.
I'm surprised about the PSEG thing. I really am, because now they have a program to try to help people to get into downtowns. They have a grant program, especially if the space has been vacant for a while, and that will give you reduced rates and even a grant to get started. So I'm very surprised about that, but I will contact them and see what's up with that, and why it does take so long. All right, so we went over obstacles, we went over why you picked where you're going to be. What is the most helpful thing to you? So we heard about the drawbacks. What's been the thing that's helped you the most to have a successful restaurant in a downtown on Long Island? Start with George's. Yeah, what's been the most helpful to you in getting your restaurant going in the downtown? Obviously, you did yours a while ago, but we talked about obstacles, which is a negative. I want to talk about a positive. What was good and what helped you get started and to succeed?
I have to go back to the village. The village is an amazing place to do business.
The parking facilities themselves were in such poor condition, redesigned.
Well, everybody knows Patchogue is the poster child for the way villages should be done.
Expensive.
Now, everybody wants to be Patchogue.
Probably $4 or $5 million into that to rebuild these parking facilities.
Very
It's not a
open
structure,
development.
it's that level at grade parking facility.
There are places
And
that
then
are
the reason
closed
for the
minds. We
redevelopment
don't want to do anything different than we always done. We don't want to do Queens,
and is
things like that.
put in the downtown area almost.
So, but Patchogue is very open to all
And that
kinds of
investment
development.
spurred development on Main
It's
Street.
turned out that the
All the
restaurant
fees come, you get building fees and the like,
was worked out, but
incentive fees,
they're open to other things as
incentive
well. There's a lot of
zoning,
new
you
retail
have to pay for
development,
this.
a lot of new young people, places in retail, so.
And we've been very successful.
Before we move on to your positive, I just want to bounce on that comment about Queens. I grew up in Queens. I was born in the Bronx. I love Queens, and look at Queens now. Look at Queens today. The property values in Queens have tripled in the last 15 years. Queens is booming. It's the most diverse area in the country. There are more languages are spoken in Queens than any other place in in this country. And now, some big e-commerce place apparently is going to be moving to Queens. And, you know, once we get through with the positives, that's going to be another question that we're going to pose to some of these guys.
The next project we have is building a community around trucks. We have a very set group of people that are always there.
Right next to the train station. That's a key because the train station is only 2 blocks from downtown.
I know that my
And
first
if
time I
you
know
have
their
the
stories, I know
TLD,
where
the 2
they
blocks of
were.
downtown, you've
Yeah,
got
it's
a
really cool.
tremendous amount
And
of people that want to live there.
what's interesting
in
is
one
most
place
of
to
them
go.
don't
So
live in the village of
the
Farmingdale.
first 2 projects were announced
Heard
at
of
the
us
beginning of
from
the
word of
bill, we
mouth,
saw
and they started
resistance
coming there.
in the downtown area as
And
well.
that's been probably the
And then
biggest thing
we
that's helped us,
also
just
felt
word
that
of
it was
mouth and
necessary
the
to make that
community that we
commitment,
built.
both short and long term, for parking to engage in that way.
For us, when we were opening, it was really the other shop
Ticket
owners in
tickets
the
is
area.
we do-
They embraced
we have
us.
code
They
officers
wanted to
downtown.
see
We're
us start
very
in downtown. They wanted
uh,
creative competition.
virtually Friday and Saturday night
Needed some
places.
sort of critical mass
We
downtown.
made an arrangement with a local school where we have 80
Our
parking
Chamber of
spaces.
Commerce, they all came out and
At
everyone
no
was
cost to us, just through
including me and everything. And it really got me more excited.
Part of their parking lot in the evenings.
Like I said before, our village has made it exceptionally, really super easy to open up. But we've also started to create a local following where people will ride their bikes up to our store. The community has, a bunch of times people said thank you to us for adding value to our community, so that's kind of what we're trying to do right now. And another thing we've been trying to do is work with all the new local businesses. Like, for example, there's a brewery coming in. Hopefully, in a few months, we've done a meet with them. We're doing a second meet with one of the new local restaurants opening up, Restoration Kitchen. So one of our goals now is to work with a lot of the local businesses opening up, and I think that is going to make our whole community busier, to know that all the businesses are working together to create like a village where people can walk around and hang out and spend money and just have a good time.
Which was a minor investment of about $150,000.
Also, I think downtown bring a lot of diversity, our customer base from the city areas.
Which was an opportunity for the
And
village if they passed on it.
summertime, from higher like value of our water traffic in downtown, which is bring a lot of business.
About $1,250,000 between the purchase of property and.
I've actually been thinking about this since last night, because I knew this question was going to come up, but I think what makes these villages, at least I could speak about villages work, is everyone's kind of on the same page. Like, if you move to a village, you appreciate the village. If you're in village government, you know, you're trying to build up your downtown. So everyone's kind of working together, whether it's Babylon or Patchogue or any of the other villages. It seems like the cooperation is there. You know, of course, mayors being able to close streets whenever they want, well, not whenever they want, but probably more often than others, is very helpful. But like, one thing that is very apparent in, say, Patchogue, obviously everyone's known about the mayor, the theater, Tri-Tech and all that stuff, but another key ingredient, he's kind of going to kill me for pointing him out, but in the back of the room is David Kennedy. He's the executive director of the Patchogue Chamber of Commerce, which is basically a freight train. He deserves a round of applause, because when you hear about all this stuff going on in Patchogue, he's usually fielding the complaints about it and dealing with everybody. So, but like the chamber, they're very encouraging of anything. You want to start a retailers group, go ahead. You want to start a restaurant association, go ahead. You want to start a young professionals group, go right ahead. And I'll tell you one thing about Patchogue is, everyone talks about it all day long, but they haven't taken their feet off the gas. It's still pedal to the metal, encouraging any new ideas. They're going to set up an ice rink, we're not setting up an ice rink. I don't know what we're doing, but it doesn't end. So just got to keep pushing it.
All right, John, free dues to you for a year, okay?
No, he does a great job in Patchogue. All right, so we have we mentioned Queens just before, and some e-commerce company that may be putting a headquarters there. And one of the things I wanted to point out, there's something called experiential retail that I've been writing about for a while. You know, everybody says retail's dying. It's you know, because you got Sears closing and all these big box stores having a lot of trouble. And the businesses that are taking their places are experiential. They're either a gym, stuff you can't do on the internet. Restaurants, you can't still eat on You can't eat your computer still, okay? But the internet giveth and the internet taketh away. It does give. I know a lot of these guys are going to be benefiting from these shared services, these internet-based things like Uber Eats and delivery, the things that the internet has brought us that help. Also, when Amazon does finally come, there's going to be a lot of people that can't fit in Long Island City. A lot of their 25,000 employees that are supposed to be going to that site won't all be able to spend $4,000 on an apartment overlooking the East River. So they're going to be trying to look for apartments in major transportation hubs in and around Long Island City, which means any place in Nassau, maybe Bethpage, where there's a train station and maybe a nice transit-oriented development that they can live in for half the price. And then just take a quick, 30, 40, 50-minute commute through the Long Island Railroad. So just talk briefly about how the internet has affected your business, and talk about social media and the marketing, because that's also a positive, and the delivery services that happen. I don't know if George, if that affects you at all, but I'm going to start with you.
Delivery.
Experts.
We had a proposal from Uber Eats that very much wanted us to get involved. They wanted to take 25% or something like that. It was just crazy. So we didn't do it. We do have a private delivery person in a smaller property.
It's interesting that
I've heard good things about DoorDash. I'm looking at that thing. But at the moment, there's not much. Social media, of course, everybody does social media. Instagram, we do a lot of Instagram, Facebook.
Other than you've got to jump in the pool and learn how to swim.
It's not my personal thing, but it's certainly very
10
important.
years, 15, 20 years from now, we're not doing this anymore, some of us that are older. Will we need all those parks? Will the villages and towns be able to sell them, or should we sell them? Well, one thing I do know happens from my life in the business world is
coffee online, forget
without thriving downtowns, without thriving main streets, Farmingdale, Business District, Huntington, wherever, if those areas shutter up, they go with tar paper over because they can't be rented, we're in trouble.
About us,
and a lot of trouble.
local publications.
All the rest of it we can figure out, because we're not stupid. We're all fairly well educated. We know how to speak and talk to one another. We come to events like this. But if we don't drive the traffic in the business...
Sorry about that. Yeah, so the social media helps our community, and we share the various articles and links written by the coffee publications, not local things about, our coffee, to help educate them a little bit on what we do. Yeah, more industry stuff. We like to share those with them because we do take a lot of pride when we do get some industry recognition, because what we do is on par with a lot of other high-end coffee shops do in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, but we don't get recognition for it. We're in the middle of nowhere, and people don't travel for coffee, so it's hard for us to educate, to have people understand what the difference.
You and I have got to
in our case, Uber Eats works. We didn't have a way to deliver. You can adjust pricing on the Uber Eats menus that are online, so that it makes it a little bit more advantageous. And then social media, we have a lot of live music. We have a whole program of entertainment during the week, and being able to put that out on social media, we attract people from out of town, which is nice, all the way up to Syosset, all the way down to Massapequa.
We obviously can't deliver, but we're currently right now looking into different options for licensing to ship to other states to expand our wine club. Our wine club will be just like any other wine club that you've seen. So we're trying to work out the logistics of being able to ship to other states right now. As for social media, I mean, it works for us. The beer wine industry, what we do, it's all the same. We use it a lot for like certain specific bottle releases and what's new and what's coming out. Because of what we do, not many people are familiar with what we do, so we're a really small fish right now, being the only person making meat on Long Island. So social media has been very helpful to us so far.
Social media definitely help us a lot for the business, and we also send a lot of newsletter out for email campaigns. and we do a lot of deliveries. We do the online order systems. We use Grubhub, which they charge a lot, and we use one of the platform called Munch. They based on monthly subscriptions, and actually we cut down we started use about 10 years ago. When we have one business location in JFK area, we use the 7 cashier at a time. And after we use online order systems, we actually cut down a lot of labors, down to 3 people. Actually, also the phone lines, we cut down 3 phone lines also. We actually grandfathering, they take in 15%. But the monthly, the one they use for Munch is $129 per month. No matter how many orders you take. Roughly, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so just to get back to the whole Amazon question. I don't know, if you want to buy a blender, you can buy it on Amazon. If you want someone to spend time with you that knows what they're talking about, put together something nice and answer all your questions and get you exactly what you want on the spot the first time, I'm not too worried about Amazon. And I think I've noticed in the villages we operate, specialty retail is not going anywhere. Experiential, like you said. Besides that, with my Hero project, we're on DoorDash, we're on Chow Now, and I'm talking to Uber Eats, but the sell of these people is that they'll bring you a lot of order flow to make up for their percentage. So personally, I'm keeping them on a short leash, and if they don't show me that order flow, I'll be cutting that leash.
And what it showed is that the town...
Okay, so I'm going to open it up to questions. These guys know a lot about the restaurant business and what the restaurants do for the downtown, and the interaction between the downtown people and the restaurants. So I'll open it up to questions, and then after the questions, I am going to give each guy a brief time to just plug their business and give a little brief, again, description of what they're up to, because, that's why they're here. They want to get business. Who's got a question?
Structure, you're turning it into Queens, not Queens is bad, but these are the things that happen.
I feel like Phil Donahue. Remember Phil Donahue?
To protect it was the town.
Hi there. I have a question for Mr. Murray. I know Kilwins operates in the Babylon Village area, and having previously been a resident of the Babylon area, what is the priority right now to expand into other, like North Babylon, where there isn't a lot of small businesses? And I know in that Babylon Village area, within a 1 mile radius of the Kilwins store there's Sweet Street on Main Street, there's 200 feet, which is right up the street. So there is other small businesses selling fudge, chocolate, and candy. But what's the priority to expand into maybe North Babylon or Deer Park, which doesn't have a lot of small businesses?
Okay, come.
If we monetize parking.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Donahue. Thank you first for coming into my store. There are a lot of great communities around us, and we're always looking at different places. In fact, I've spoken to landlords all over this island, different villages, but right now we are a franchise, so the company tries not to cluster stores on top of each other, like Subway. If you have 50 grand, 500 square feet, they'll let you open up right next to each other. So our company's always looking, but North Babylon's kind of our backyard, so we wouldn't want to move that close. But if another opportunity presents itself, we'll definitely be doing something. Thank you.
I don't know why you're complaining. You got signed. All right. Yeah.
So now the question is...
Personally, I'm not, but we're in this gluten-free world. How do you each of you cater to that market?
Uber and Lyft, and
What's the question?
Gluten-free. I was just curious as to how you handle it.
Anybody want to do the gluten-free?
Yours is gluten-free.
All of our meat's gluten-free. We have one coming out that is actually not going to be gluten-free because it's we added graham crackers to it, so it's not gluten-free. But all of meat is gluten-free. Everything we do, with the exception of one thing right now, is gluten-free. So.
Is that a big? Is it gluten-free?
90% of our menu is gluten-free.
for example, the impact of employee parking, 35 to 40% of the spaces.
You're behind the pole.
Okay, so I know in Patchogue, which is a bad, by the way, Patchogue and Huntington have really great arts councils, and they do a lot with the businesses in the area.
The answer, that's my
for those of you that are working with any of the arts councils, or for those of you who are not, do you think that that's a plus to collaborate with them, and why?
Previous administration and this administration.
Go ahead, John.
I can tell you that the arts in Patchogue has been a huge, as you say, connection. It's been advantageous to everyone involved, the artists, the community, the businesses, the village. The crosswalk they put in has arts all over it, the theater. You know, I guess the thing would be to spread that sort of community to everywhere else, because it's a wonderful thing. There's really no downside.
There's no way you can pass it.
You know, Don mentioned live music. Live music is unbelievable for downtowns. It draws people in, and a lot more restaurants. I'm noticing, my older son is a musician, but I'm noticing that a lot more restaurants are having live music, and it's a great draw. So it costs them a little money, but it gets people in, and it makes it a little more lively, a little more tempo. Anybody want? Oh, Don.
So we don't have an arts in our small hamlet page, but I've tried to institute some live music, and so we now do an open mic night on a Tuesday night, which brings out local residents. You can't believe the talent that was into the place. We had people who were visiting from the city. They're visiting a friend on that page, and they heard the open mic. They come down, super quality of entertainment. It's relatively low cost, and it's really improved them.
Have been granting variances.
And as far as arts go, we do, in the cafe, we have, all the wall space. And we,
30 spaces.
I would say frequently we change the art that's in there. No one in the village, the village, that has nothing to do with what we do. They're kind of, Farmingdale is very different than all the other villages. There's a lot of restaurant groups and bars that actually have owners that are constantly changing hands. It seems like there's no real sense of village community.
And that is an issue. We discussed that. I know we discussed
But we organize our art with other art communities. We had the art that we had in there before, all tattoo artists. So we had, when we had the art opening, everybody packed out.
So the issue was
the only person in the building without a neck tattoo.
right. You can't keep on granting variances.
People come out to see things happening in their community and in different communities. So
What we looked
like that
at
really does help
was
businesses.
the fees from the
Well, live music has been a big part of our operation from the beginning. We were always been a big music venue. Major bands on Friday,
But
Saturday.
anyway, I don't disagree with that. I
Thursday,
really don't.
Mike on Wednesday.
It would be a better thing
So we,
if
big
we
supporter
charged
of music
for
festival.
a parking variance.
That's a good idea to have the arts councils collaborate more with the restaurants in town, because these are the venues. So yeah.
I agree.
But if there are other restaurants and other
Majority of these downtowns
Oh, Evan.
So for me to experience about live music, I think it's about like different locations. We started doing live music in my Moga restaurant like about 4 years ago, and like people are like really enjoying about live music in the restaurants. But when I started in Farmingdale location with the live music, people always complain about too loud. When I find dining restaurant, I have all this live music. I want come in here, enjoy it, and talk to the people. I don't want to like music.
From residents and neighborhoods.
Not for everybody.
Driveways and
Questions? Oh boy, you're making me really warm.
we will act on it.
Who we got back here? Okay, we got.
How you doing? I own a few small businesses, restaurants on Long Island. I've been doing business for 20 years on Long Island. I think I know 3/4 of the panel up there and tried to buy 1 or 2 of the locations up there. The question I have for this panel is, what is everyone's plan in terms of the minimum wage, labor prices, where the costs are going up? And the alternative for us is to raise prices. I just want to see what everyone's thinking on this. Are you raising prices? Are you figuring out a way to do more with less staff and control labor?
Anybody? Who wants to handle that one?
Very interesting topic.
Minimum wage. Anybody? Okay, Joe.
It's obviously a problem. We already had the increase in the tip wage 2 years ago. and talking about increases, going forward. So labor cost is no question a major part of the business, and it's a problem. It's going to be a problem going forward. No question.
But it is a double-edged sword, or there's two sides to look at it. If people are making more money, they can afford to go out to eat in other restaurants. No? You like that one?
So much better, just like all the other states.
So I don't know if I speak for most of the panel, but I doubt many of us voted for our current government this time or the previous time. But just to show a small example, we serve a chocolate-covered Oreo, and we joke within my staff that just to keep up with the wages, it's $1.99 out. It's going to have to be a $4 or $5 Oreo. So it's a little crazy. And, what we've done is tried to schedule people smarter, but then there was this push on the scheduling, cutting people and all that, so they're just going to lose shifts right off the bat. It's just, I have a friend who owns 8 McDonald's, like the one in Times Square with the big M. That's my friend. He employs 1,200 people. So when all this stuff came out, he was enraged, and everyone talks about, working at McDonald's, working at McDonald's. He pays one of his general managers $100,000 to work at McDonald's. So there is money to be made at McDonald's if you are worth it. So I just always tell everyone that. It's a real world example.
If you're a local government, you have to do it.
It's a question. You got another one?
Purchase them, and that's the best way to go about it, because you're going to create competition.
By the way, wait till people get their tax bills, and they're doing their taxes in April on Long Island with the SALT deduction. That's going to be another problem. So you get the $15 an hour minimum wage, and then you're going to have people going out to eat less because they all of a sudden their taxes went up by $20,000. So that's going to be interesting to see in April. Another story that I'm doing work coming up.
One more question. Although it doesn't pertain to me, Meatworks, although it's located in Lindenhurst, it's still right there on West Hoffman. The train station is quite literally on that road.
On the zoning
Even though you guys are a fairly small new business, being the only business that sells meat on Long Island, how do you guys currently or plan to advertise along the other towns on that road, such as Copeg, Amityville, Babylon Village, along that, or do you guys plan to advertise around the other smaller towns?
They can't use public parking for that purpose.
Go ahead, you should start talking. Yeah, I guess, basically advertising social media right now. We are small. We've only been open about 12 weeks. So what we're doing right now is we're in a giant learning curve right now. We don't know what people want, what people need, how we should advertise best right now. But right now we're focused on the general area, the Babylon, Lindenhurst, Copeg areas. We advertise a lot on Facebook via beer groups, because a lot of the craft beer community is what supports us now. It's almost needs a crossover from that. So that's basically what we're doing right now. We don't really know what we should do yet, because there's no one doing what we're doing, like I said, so we don't have anyone to ask questions to. So everything we do is trial and error at this moment in time. There are people that own meaderies all over the country, but their communities are different than our communities. Their business model is different. It's not something that we could easily learn from someone else. So it's just a big learning curve right now.
Just to be clear, Joe said craft beer, not crap beer. Just wanted to. Yeah.
Hi, I was just curious to hear what your relationships are with your landlords. Do you find that they're supportive of the businesses that you're operating? Are they very absent and you never really hear from them? Are they engaged in the community? Do they keep your properties in good shape, or do you find that you have to have all the burden? Just curious to hear what kind of relationship there is.
It's a very important question, because it's kind of a chicken and the egg. He's got a vacant space, you come in, and then all of a sudden, in 3 years, you rent something. So who wants to handle that one? George?
We own our own building, which is a major advantage.
Our landlord is awesome. He owns just a handful of properties. The only one he has on Long Island. He's not around. we pay our rent, he lets us do whatever we want. He shows up every now and then and drinks some coffee and we shoot the shit. He's a cool dude. And he likes what we do and he's supportive of it. Yeah, I have no problem with this, our landlord. I mean, he's not a big no retail group or anything like that. Just some guy who owns the property, so it works out really well for us.
We, on our building as well.
Our landlord is the worst. And, well, our first landlord was the worst. And over the course of, since March, our building was sold and we have a new landlord. Neither one have we met so far. And the new guy isn't really much better. We've had a leak in our roof since March. And no one has addressed it yet. So our landlords have been terrible.
Since we have a few locations and we own some of buildings, and also some landlords are good, and we found a difficulty with the big landlords when they have a manual company. So every time you need something, you gotta contact the manual company. Then you contact landlord. Probably sometimes get back to you the monthly. When I deal with the Huntington landlord, the guy on next door, which is a restaurant next to us. So every time we want something, talk to him, you get back to you right away.
So I was actually thinking about this question too last night. I was thinking, who would be the people sitting out here? What are your motivations to listen to what we have to say? And, I don't know if anyone in this room is considering a food and beverage destination in the downtown, but as someone who's spoken to landlords from Montauk, Port Washington, everywhere in between, if you see certain towns where nothing's happening, there could be a lot of reasons, but a big reason could be unrealistic landlords, absentee landlords, people who are doing the revolving door tenants. It's horrible. My landlord's, the one in Babylon, it's not my responsibility, we've all heard that, but he leaves me alone, it's great. And then the two guys in Patchogue are two guys from the neighborhood who genuinely care about the community, so they're not over-aggressive with the rent, they leave a little meat on the bone, and everyone's fine. So the other thing I was going to say, if anyone in the room is thinking of opening a food and beverage, whatever, I tell everyone to go talk to the local bartender, because they might know, oh, that property on the corner is vacant, it's got roaches, the guy's a jerk, it's got nuclear waste. So talk to the local bartender.
Local bartender always knows.
This question is for the whole panel. So I think compared to other industries, restaurant industry normally has a higher rate of turnover of employees. So like, is there like a system that you use in your restaurant to keep the ones that are, have good work ethics, which are really hard to find in any industry in these days, I think? Or like any bonus system that you have for your restaurant?
We tend to keep our people. We have great management. Obviously, there is servers. There's turnover in servers. People go back to college, things like that. They tend to be young people. There are some servers. But as far as management, our management has been there for years and years. A lot of bartenders in there for years. Kitchen people, pretty stable. So the key is morale. Morale has to be good, and that's the main. What's that?
Paul makes great beer.
And Paul makes good beer.
What are you doing to keep that good management?
It's probably luck. I don't know. We're fair with everybody. I mean, there's a good. And our business, the owners are not day-to-day people. I'm in there every day, but not all day. So we have hired management. We have a hired management, and there's a good relationship between the owners and the management, and it's just a matter of keeping people comfortable and happy.
Anybody else?
I mean, since we've opened, we've had 3 of our employees leave, just because they moved or school or whatever it is. So we basically have the same staff that we had since we opened. We just try to keep everyone happy, they get paid well. And with specialty coffee, there's a lot of education involved. So people that want to pursue more education in coffee, I'm more than happy to pay for them to go to various lectures or seminars and to keep their coffee has a very weird rap with not traditional trends, but there's a lot of different career pathways to go down with coffee. And I try to, people want that, I try to provide that for them. I have some employees that are musicians and can't come on for 2 months. Give them a pat on the back, give them a bag of coffee, it's like, go have fun, job is to get back. So it's, catering to what people want and making sure everyone's happy and keeping morale high. I just bought an arcade machine, put it in the basement, just for the staff to play on the downtime. It makes them super happy.
I'd like to go to coffee school. What about you? Coffee school? Sounds good.
We just try to keep a very family atmosphere, very light. Obviously, no loud voices in either the kitchen, and it's always big. Usually our chefs, we yell. There is no loud voices, anything over regular speaking voice, just not accepted. And that, just treating people with general respect, knowing that they're there to make money, not overstaff, just really watch your staffing. You don't want to put 5 waiters on a night, on a Tuesday night, and you just want great service, so I have to overstaff. You have to understand those people are there to make money, so, just correct staffing.
Yes.
Keeps them happy.
We don't have any staff, it's just me and my partner. So.
Have affordable.
So your staff is great.
Yeah, great.
So each one, we have like big like employee in my many employees in my restaurants. Each of our restaurants have about like 30 to 40 employees. So add up together, we probably have like 240, between 240 to 260 employees. We do have a lot of high turnovers when we open new restaurants. Once stables, we have no problem with the employees.
By the way, you have a great bartender, Tony. Throwing it out there. Back on the bartender.
Yeah, in addition to what everyone else said, obviously respecting people, treating people the right way is big, but one thing I'm kind of proud about is if there's ever a problem is to kind of get the people together and let them talk it out before it becomes a nuclear explosion. Yeah, the only thing about this rising wages is one thing I'm thinking down the road is when new people come in at $15 an hour, rewarding people is going to get very difficult. You're going to have $18, $22, $25 an hour people. I guess we're all going to find out together.
Moratorium in for a 6-month period to reevaluate.
Okay, we got to wrap this up because we're getting towards the end. Unless anybody has a really great question, that's an awesome question. No, okay, we're good. So I'm going to just give these guys just a couple of quick seconds to plug their businesses because that's why they're here, and just tell us real quick why we should go there. And I'll start with George.
Yes, final question.
I just want to mention a couple of things. You may not be aware of. We do a very large catering business. It's a large part of our business. We can cater up to 100 people. We have 2 rooms upstairs, so if anybody's interested in parties, that's the place to go. In fact, we did a wedding. A major 100-person wedding last month, and worked out great. They got married in the garden, so it was a wedding place to come. Food is a new emphasis. We have a great new chef, and they're here, Culinary Institute graduate, so more emphasis on food.
We would like to know.
Cafe Mercury is following down a very small wholesale footprint right now. Do office deliveries.
Check you out online?
Sure, why not?
Flux Coffee, Farmingdale, Flux.
We are very
Again, Campaign House and Bethpage, outdoor dining, fireplace dining. It's a lot more than just burgers. Come down. Oh, and live music from Tuesday straight through the weekend.
Earlier, one question. Why did you misspell it? I don't see the H.
It's a family name, Charles Campaign.
It's not Champagne.
It's not Champagne, it's Campaign.
Campaign House.
Like I mentioned earlier, we're the only ones making meat in Long Island. And really, who doesn't like a drink? To be obvious. And on top of that, if you've never heard of mead, you're not familiar with it, you can come down, do a flight, taste things. Me and my partner are very educated. We'll fill you in on how meat is made, fermentation process, any of those things that you don't know. So come down, have a drink.
WAE works in Lindenhurst.
As you know, in past decades, restaurants have so many different changes, especially in like Asian restaurants. In 80s and 90s, most Asian restaurants are takeout restaurants. But now, like we want to build brands, atmospheres, and dining experience for our customers. So we have a big space for the parties, and we do a lot of charity events, like five charities, like Taste of Long Island, and we also like love to providing job for locally.
And that's TOA, Fusion, Huntington, Babylon, Huntington, Farmingdale, and Salem.
Yeah, thanks again, everyone. Kilwins, Babylon, Patchogue, chocolate fudge and ice cream. Coming up to the holidays, we do corporate gifts. We did last week 600 pieces from air wine from JFK, so no order is too big, obviously. It's quality stuff, and I now have the new Hero Shop in Patchogue. If you're hungry and want a quality sandwich, come check us out. It's actually right behind the Kilwins.
All right, I want to thank everybody for coming today. These guys are great. They have great establishments. Please visit them when you're in their towns. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming.